Good morning, and welcome to the Stylo News Intelligence Update. It's Friday, February 13th, 2026. We begin today with a significant development, a major shift in U.S. foreign policy that is already creating ripples across the globe.
And this really gets to the heart of our top story. The United States appears to be moving away from a policy of risk management and toward what's being described as selective coercive enforcement. It's a fundamental shift, a more assertive global posture, and we're already seeing the effects.
So let's start in the Americas, where we're witnessing what many are calling the most consequential event in the Western Hemisphere in decades.
First, the primary development. We have confirmation that a U.S. military operation in Caracas has resulted in the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. Now, according to U.S. officials, the goal here was to dismantle what they've termed a narco-state leadership, which they argue has been a source of instability in the region for years.
And in the immediate aftermath, the United States has announced it will assume temporary governance authority. The stated mission has two main parts. First, to stabilize the country and prevent a further collapse, and second, and this is critical, to restore Venezuela's oil infrastructure, which is, of course, a major factor in the global energy markets.
Now, this map really helps put things into perspective. It shows the key strategic points in the Western Hemisphere, and you can see how the concentration of activity really underscores the interconnected nature of everything that's been happening, all the way from Washington, D.C. down to Caracas.
As you might expect, the international response has been, well, it's been swift and sharply divided. On one side, we have nations like Argentina, Ecuador, and Honduras voicing their support. But on the other, some key regional players, we're talking Colombia and Mexico, have joined Cuba, Russia, and China in raising serious concerns, mainly citing violations of national sovereignty.
Of course, this situation in the Americas isn't happening in a vacuum, so let's widen our view now and take a quick look at other key security flashpoints around the world. It's a complex picture out there. Over in Europe, we're seeing Russian cyber attacks targeting energy infrastructure in Poland. At the same time, high-level military talks are underway between the U.S. and Russia to try and reduce the risk of escalation over Ukraine. Moving to the Middle East, the World Defense Show is opening in Riyadh, while Israel has warned it may act on its own against Iran's ballistic missile program. And in Asia, tensions are high as North Korea continues missile tests ahead of a major Workers' Party Congress. You can see how all these pieces contribute to a pretty volatile global situation.
So piecing all of this together, connecting these different events from around the globe into a single coherent picture, well, that's a huge challenge. And that really brings us to the technology that makes this kind of intelligence update possible.
So the question is, how do you take this flood of global data and turn it into clear intelligence? How do you connect the dots between what's happening in Caracas and Warsaw and Pyongyang and do it almost instantly?
Well, the answer is that the analysis you're seeing today is powered by Stylo Intel Ops. It's an advanced platform developed by our sponsor, ProWave AI, and it's built specifically for this purpose, to make sense of global complexity.
Here's how it works. It's essentially a four-step workflow. First, it gathers information, just ingests data from more than 250 global news and social media sources in real time. Then it analyzes all of that, even auto-translating over 20 languages to pull out key names, times, and places. Step 3, it uses AI to answer your questions in plain language, and it gives you the sources. And finally, it pushes out critical updates to users in less than a minute. It's all about turning all that noise into a clear signal.
So that gives you a high-level overview. But for those who need to dig deeper into these events, the full in-depth analysis is also available.
And here's the key takeaway from that deeper analysis. These events are not isolated incidents. What we're seeing is the emergence of a new era of strategic competition. It's one where adversaries are coordinating their narratives and using economic and information warfare as their primary tools.
Our full intelligence update today dives deep into these themes. It's titled America First in Action, Projecting Power, Preserving Peace in 2026.
You can hear that full analysis on the Stylo News Intel Update podcast. And if you'd like to get your own AI-powered news on demand, you can go to www.stylonews.com.
And that concludes this morning's Intelligence Update. Thank you for joining us.